So first, let's talk about our traditional what's next for the topic here. And you know what? Well, we kind of know what's going to happen for Sonic thanks to Sonic Central. Like, I already talked about that in episode 9, which is our E3 special episode, but like, the long and short of what we know is coming next for Sonic is Sonic Origins, a new Sonic team game. Sonic Origins is just a collection of the Genesis games, including 3 and Knuckles for the first time in years. Sonic Colors Ultimate's probably going to be out by the time this releases, being a remake of the Wii version of Sonic Colors. Of course, Sega's had a bunch of other major projects, whether it's Sonic Prime coming to Netflix by WildBrain. But beyond that, I don't really know much about it. But by the time this releases, there may have been like an actual full-on trailer for the show. Otherwise, the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie is continuing production and appears to be going, interestingly, more in a Sonic 3 direction by including the original trio of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. I actually just watched the first Sonic movie, and I thought it was pretty good, but I can talk about that another time. Of course, there's the IDW comic that's going to keep trucking along. I never really have read it or the Archie comic, but I see posts on these comics all the time, so they're like, it must be like a huge thing. And really, I know I basically talked about this in like 2 minutes tops, but the future of the Sonic series is probably the least interesting future that I'm going to talk about in this entire series because, you know, no matter what, there's going to be new work for the Sonic franchise. I do not think that there will ever be a point where Sega just stops making Sonic content because it's always been their most popular thing. So, lo and behold, I don't have much worries that I will continue seeing Sonic games for the rest of my life. Including, in fact, fan games. So this is a topic that I haven't talked about much here, and it gets into our special topic for just the Sonic episode. What should the main Sonic games take from fan work? And I ask this because there's no game series, in my opinion, that is more ubiquitous with the phrase fan game than Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, we could look at like a greater breadth of fan work beyond video games, be it fan art or fan fiction, but given that Sonic is first and foremost a video game, I figured that would be where we should focus this conversation. And of course, you know, some of these ideas are present in certain other official real games, but I think they're so important that I want to highlight them as ideas that many Sonic games could use. And in some ways, this conversation is harder to have thanks to Sonic Mania in particular, because Sonic Mania is like essentially an official fan game, and it incorporates ideas from many fan games already. But still, I went the extra mile here and looked up a list of some prominent Sonic fan games and found a list from The Gamer. Is actually one of the few lists of fan games I could find out there, but I generally don't find The Gamer to be a good source, especially for videos, because I just find that they basically restate information that you can find pretty easily elsewhere or is common knowledge for their target audience. But for this purpose, this list should probably work out fine. I basically went through to find footage of all of these games, since I have frankly not played most of any of them. But I wanted to see what might make good additions to future Sonic titles from them. And so first I want to start with something that I can't believe that 2D games haven't had before, and that's wall jumping. And this is inspired by the first game on the list, Sonic XG. And I saw Sonic actually do, like, wall jumping off of walls there, and I realized, that isn't a move in the classic style games, and even in Mania, where it could have made levels more interesting from just being a little more vertical. And it's also kind of weird because Sonic can wall jump in Super Smash Bros., and Sonic has had wall jump moves before, particularly in Sonic Unleashed. So I don't understand why Sega hasn't done more with it, especially in their 2D titles. I want to see more characters, and of course you can see that already in official games like Sonic 3, Sonic Adventure, Sonic Advance, Mania Plus, and of course, as far as fan games are concerned, Sonic Mega Mix. And this is pretty self-explanatory. Not only does it give you more unique aesthetic options to just see, oh, someone other than the regular blue hedgehog I'm used to, but it also gives you more options gameplay-wise. And Sonic just has such a large cast that it's a shame that so many characters don't get used. And that isn't to say that every stage needs to have moments where it's like, oh, hey, that's clearly the Knuckles bit of the stage. But there's no reason why, when you have like such broadly similar characters, that they are not used. Like, why can I not play as Tails in Sonic Generations? It's as simple as making the characters control the same with like 1 or 2 special moves, and that's all they did in the Genesis era, and it was fine. I don't understand why they wouldn't go for that. Another idea that I thought about was it would be interesting to mix abilities from different eras, and we kind of see that in Sonic Generations 3DS already, with giving classic Sonic the homing attack, although the main reason it doesn't work there is just because now you have both Sonics with the homing attack, so how are you going to differentiate them much? But a Genesis-style only game with the homing attack, that could be interesting. I also cite the fan game Sonic Time Twisted in this conversation because it incorporates some later moves like the air dash from the Boost Formula games. Like a 3D game that actually does make it advantageous to roll into a ball instead of spin dashing could be interesting. And it could be interesting to see, like, what would a modern Sonic game if you actually did have Tails following you throughout the game? Another idea I had that could be interesting would be a Metroidvania-style world. And this is inspired by Sonic Chrono Adventure, because the way that game builds its world is not too dissimilarly from Sonic CD in that Sonic CD builds its worlds by taking the same areas and looking at them in a different way by going from the past, present, and future. But instead of going back and forth in time, you're just adventuring along the cardinal directions. So you have like a north-facing area, an east-facing area, a west-facing area, and a south-facing area. And instead of there being multiple levels everywhere that feeds into each other, I think it would be interesting to just have a giant Metroid or post-Symphony of the Night Castlevania-style giant world. And, I mean, to be fair, that's not something that I personally would want, but it could be an interesting experiment to see in a 2D Sonic game, or even a 3D Sonic game if they went full, straight-up open world. But that just takes care of most of the fan games. But what about some games that are inspired by Sonic, like Freedom Planet and something like Spark the Electric Jester? So for starters, both of those games started either as Sonic fan games, or in the case of Spark, it was made by someone who made some prominent Sonic fan games. I believe, if I remember correctly, the creator of Spark the Electric Jester first made Sonic before the sequel and Sonic after the sequel. And I would like to do a separate Freedom Planet review at a later date, but if the Sonic series is going to take anything from that game and Spark, it needs to take at least one of the two things that, in my opinion, makes Freedom Planet superior in my eyes. And I've harped on it so much. Enemies do not need to deal touch damage. Or the other option I'd see is just screw the Chaos Emeralds. They are not necessary, and neither are the special stages. But of course, I think the latter is unlikely, so I would at least settle for Sonic having better designed special stages. But I think getting rid of touch damage and only being able to be attacked by like specifically conscious attacks by enemies would do a great deal of help for the Sonic series, because my goodness, it is real irritating to continue adventuring along and just to get stopped in your tracks by an enemy that you didn't know was coming. And as far as Spark is concerned, I find this series a much tougher game, even though to find inspiration from, although I'm sure Sega could find something. Because I don't want to just say that Sega should add Kirby-like elements to Sonic, because then they would just quite literally be ripping off Spark the Electric Jester. But I am struggling with ideas. And I mean, there is also the sequel, which I have not picked up, that they could find ideas for a 3D game in, but it seems like both games have pretty similar ideas. Speaking of which, there are actually quite a few games on the list that I thought had interesting ideas, but I wasn't sure how to incorporate, and they were mostly 3D games like Sonic Utopia, Sonic World, and Green Hill Paradise Act 2, and it's frustrating that I had trouble with these because I wanted to find more ideas for the 3D games to incorporate. Like, these are 3 just super different 3D Sonic fan games from each other, but they all have pretty good ideas, Sonic Utopia is a giant world consisting of just Green Hill Zone that lets players run around, but there's no, real goal as far as I understand. You can get to the end, but most of the game is just about exploring. And I think world design like we see in Utopia could work for a 3D Sonic game, but it would have to take more of a Super Mario 64 or Odyssey style of having multiple objectives for Sonic to complete in the same level, or I think the design would have to be a little bit more linear than what Utopia uses, or if they just want to have it be to get to the end, or Sega would need to have to find a balance between the two, of trying to get players to the end of the level while also going off of the beaten path and rewarding it, but that's probably the hardest option. I don't know, the game just makes you feel good at being, feeling like Sonic, and I'll just bring the 2D style gameplay into 3D. But beyond that, I just genuinely don't know what it can bring. It's an interesting experiment, but I don't know if it can carry a full game. And I have pretty similar feelings about Green Hill Paradise, though it incorporates some of the modern mechanics, which I think a 3D game would need to keep. Of course, the homing attack is basically mandatory. And Sonic World is really the only game that I think strives for a return to the adventure style. And frankly, I just think the big lesson from that is that, the adventure style of gameplay is worth trying again. Particularly the Sonic and Shadow style levels, even if it is just for a throwback of some type in a random game here. Frankly, there's just a lot of ideas that Sega could take from fan games, if only because there are so many out there. Covering these games alone, to me, doesn't do this topic justice, but I have to cut it off somewhere, and that's not to mention that every fan of the series is going to have some strong opinions on how the game should be. So I can only give my set of ideas. But lo and behold, we have finally made it to the end here. So that, I think, covers Sonic's 30th anniversary. I want to wish a very happy birthday to that blue blur. I am just recording this very close to the actual date that Sonic the Hedgehog released on the Genesis and Mega Drive originally. So I guess at least my recording's going to be topical. Normally I'd talk about truly how long this was, but it's a bit more challenging since I don't have my intro recorded yet. But it has at least gone on, this episode for 2 hours, so please, folks, do all of your typical sorts of engagement for this show. Depending on your platform, it could be an audio message on anchor.fm/THECOP. It could be leaving a comment on a video format show, or the video format here. It could be giving a simple thumbs up. But just please do that sort of thing. I look forward to our next release in the Creative Outlet Gaming Birthday Extravaganza. This is Brandon Pudwill signing out, and thank you very much.